Oh cool, the Nightreign DLC's out. I already beat the other stuff, so this shouldn't be too hard. Welcome to a completely accurate guide to the Nightreign DLC. You've got plenty of new shit out to kill you, so that's why I'm here, to help you make sense of it all. This DLC adds 2 new playable characters, 2 new bosses to absolutely curb stomp you, and a whole ass new map, because learning to deal with the new bosses on a map you're already comfortable with would apparently be too much to ask. And even when you do realize that, oh, it's just a new shifting earth, you can technically go back to the base map, well, have fun with all the new camps, like fucking Ballista Town. Let's start with the characters. Firstly, we've got the hot nun, the Undertaker. She was too weird, strong, and good looking for the other nuns, so she got put on dead body duty. Or at least something like that. I wouldn't know, I didn't read her lore. Her kit is pretty simple. Her basic ability gives her some bonus stats, makes her run faster, dodge better, and do more damage after 4 hits. You can also hold her ability to consume your ultimate, which gives her even more attack power, increased duration, and also makes her auto-dodge all attacks for the duration. Her ult, she kinda just launches herself at whoever happens to be within an imaginary radius she just made up on the spot. Personal space or some shit, but she's greedy as hell. Speaking of greed, she can use her ultimate anytime someone else in her party uses their ultimate, because God forbid someone else gets to use an ultimate and she doesn't. And yes, this can lead to some pretty funny goops. Next up is the Scholar. He can look at people menacingly. Then after looking enough, their social anxiety will kick in, making them take bonus damage and deal less damage. You can also choose to feed off their crippling anxiety, giving himself bonus stamina and a shield that protects him from the next hit, as well as blast anyone near him into the Shadow Realm. His ult links everyone together, using like the power of friendship or something. Any damage dealt to an enemy will also hurt other enemies linked, although only a small percentage of the damage dealt. Damaging enemies will also heal him, as well as all allies linked in this weird web. Finally, he can carry more consumables and upgrade them by using them, so he can throw even more fiery fire pots or stuff like that. He probably has some other cool gimmicks, but I wouldn't know, I play Iron Eye. Now with those out of the way, we can forget either of those two existed and play whatever character you feel most comfortable on from the base game, so you don't have to learn to fight a new boss on a new map with a new character. Which brings us to the new map. There are 3 spawns on this new map. One of them is kinda whatever. And the last one you're better off just restarting, because fighting 6 claymen only to realize they are worth a grand total of 1 level and seeing that there's absolutely fuck all in terms of value near you is not how you want to start a run. Now, as with all shifting earths, there's a fun new gimmick with this area. With the volcano, it's the forge, with the rot wood, it's the rot flowers, and here, it's this giant crystal in the center of the map. To access it, you need 3, 4, or 5 smaller crystals, depending on how many people you have in your party. These crystals have semi-random spawns, meaning they will spawn randomly, but in some preset locations. So if you know where enough of them can spawn, you don't have to wait until night 2 where they get marked on your map. Collecting all the crystals shatters the crystal in the center, allowing you to hop on it and grab your reward, which is a buff that fills your ultimate gauge when you run out of flasks, and also breaks the crystal curse. Now, the crystal curse is this funny little thing that you won't really notice unless you decide to visit this area's new points of interest. There are these 2 castle, fort, tower things on this map, and when you get near them, you will be cursed, reducing your max health by half. So, you get the buff in the crystal, and then you get free reign to run around these forts. The most important thing here, though, are these towers. Now, in all honesty, I think FromSoft got a little confused when people asked for a boss rush mode, because they kind of added it. These towers are 3 floors of just bosses, and you definitely gotta rush if you want to beat them. It's totally worth it though, because you can get a metric crap ton of rooms, especially if you play solo, and you tend to get a lot of legendary drops from these bosses as well. Complete all 3 floors and you get yet another buff, this one giving you 2000 extra merc once you get out of the run, and also buffing your ultimate gauge's passive recharge rate. Sounds simple enough, right? Well, that's why there's more to it, because otherwise it would be simple. Both towers have some sort of passive effect you've got to deal with some being significantly better than others. Some are kind of whatever, like the ailment based changes. They just increase the potency of certain ailments. Say you get a poison tower. Poison now does more damage or something, which doesn't affect you at all if neither you nor the boss have some way to apply poison. There are also affinity-based passives, which gives you and the boss you're fighting bonus damage of that affinity type. Slightly more useful since you don't need to have that affinity already for you to benefit, but also slightly more dangerous because the bosses will do a bit more damage. Then of course there's the best and worst ones, those being Erodes Life and Soothes Life respectively. Why is Erodes Life the best, you may ask? Well, you don't even gotta fight the boss, just dodge. Obviously attacking makes it quicker, but the main point is just it speeds up the fight a lot, and makes bosses with multiple enemies like Battlefield Commander or Demi-Human Queen Swordsman fight a lot easier, because, well, all of them die slowly, not just the ones you're fighting. Sure, you lose health as well, but let's be honest, we've all learned when we can heal, so we should be a lot more fine than the bosses. Soothes Life, however, is the polar opposite, constantly healing you and the boss, meaning best case you probably gotta do 20 to 30% extra damage to kill it, and worst case it kills all your motivation to even fight the boss because you died once and the boss just healed a third of its health in the time it took you to respawn. So, if you ever see a Soothes Life tower, just run the other way and check the other tower. It takes like 30 seconds if you use the portal. Now, finally, with all that out of the way, hitting level 15 should be the easiest it's ever been, and you're ready to fight the new Night Lords. Now first, let's go over the new Night 1 and 2 bosses. I'll start us off with a little thought experiment. Think back to when Nightreign first came out. I want you to go back to that time. You were learning all the new mechanics, fighting Yulster, and just generally having fun. And then some people started talking about bringing Shadow the Erdtree characters to Nightreign, because it was a missed opportunity or something. I want you to think back. Were you one of them? Did you ask FromSoft on Twitter or Reddit or Instagram or TikTok to add more stuff from the Elden Ring DLC? Because if so, fuck you. Now I have to deal with these two assholes. This bitch who kicks your ass quite literally is the first thing in the DLC, and this bitch who does the same just at the very end. Now because you guys had to go asking for more stuff, I have to fight both of them at the same time. This is your fault. And then there's also Mo, the Lord of Blood for Night 2, who for some reason learned a new move where he just bleeds the entire arena again, because one heal attack wasn't enough. Or, if you're lucky enough to not have to face Tweedledee and Tweedledum, you get to face other Tweedledee and Tweedledum, but from Dark Souls 3. And if you played Dark Souls 3 and your initial reaction to this information is, God please no, why is this a Night 1 boss? I swear this better not turn into Demon Prince. I have some good news and some bad news for you. Bad news is, well, of course it turns into Demon Prince, what else would you expect? The good news, however, is that you don't gotta fight at Night 1. He pisses off and is the Night 2 boss. So basically, against the first new Night Lord, you know exactly what you'll be fighting as soon as you see the Night 1 boss. 2 DLC assholes, Night 2 is Moog. 2 demon assholes, Night 2 is Demon Prince. Pretty cool, right? Now, of course, once you beat those, we finally get to the main event, the Balancers. Now, already at the expedition table, you should notice an issue here. The Balancers, with an image of 3 very evil-looking Valkyries. And if you don't end up reading the description, you'll probably go in there expecting, well, 3 Valkyries, 1 for each player. If you do read it, however, you probably won't have to feel the same overwhelming dread when you see 7 Valkyries spawn in, because you already went through that before you even started the expedition. Also, yeah, welcome to the first new Night Lord. Now, the first thing you'll probably notice about these guys is, damn, kinda bad. After you eventually move past that, you'll notice that they seem to die pretty easily. They don't have much health, they don't have crazy movesets, and they mostly seem to respect the 1v1. Then, of course, you'll also notice that their main health bar and their combined individual health bars don't really seem to match. And then at this point, it'll probably hit you that, of course, there's a phase 2 gimmick, and then you'll proceed to get nuked. If you somehow survive the first attack of phase 2, well, you'll see that all of a sudden, one of the Valkyries is now a lot stronger than the others, and they've also seemingly lost all respect for the 1v1. As a solo, up until this point, most of this should be pretty manageable. Phase 1, you only really have to deal with one attacking you with melee, and occasionally one other one casting spells. However, the further in you get, the more of them join in on ganking your ass. And there's not much you can do about that, because the main Valkyrie is also always on your ass, spamming big AoE moves, fast stabbing attacks, shooting other Valkyries at you, and just generally being a nuisance. But if you focus on the main one, all the other ones will start spamming spells and launching grab attacks, And then when you do finally manage to kill the main Valkyrie, well, I mean, you get a moment to catch your breath, but then another one just takes its place. And no, the defeated Valkyrie doesn't die, it just goes back to being a normal one. Point is, if you play this solo, may God have mercy on your soul. If you go in with friends, however, it suddenly becomes a cakewalk. The only difficult thing about this fight is the main Valkyrie. So if that one is fighting someone else, you can just walk around and bully the smaller ones, which does damage to their shared health pool. And then once you've killed all the weak ones, you kill the main one. I would say rinse repeat, but if you do this, you don't even get around to killing all of them again before they die for real. Main takeaway from this, if you're gonna get fucked by 7 baddies, bring your friends. Makes the experience better for everyone. Onwards to the second Night Lord, and the main event of this DLC. This of course also includes some new Night 1 and 2 bosses, but unfortunately you can't deduce your Night 2 boss off the first one anymore. I thought it was really cool that you could do that when you went up against the Balancers, but I guess they didn't want to do that more than once, so here we are. The options for Night 1 are Death Knights, who are really fucking cool and pretty easy once you stop playing like idiots. I'm looking at you past me. And Big Red Bear, who is significantly less cool. And Night 2, we have possibly the least balanced matchup. You can either get Dancing Lion, who you can bully to death in approximately 30 seconds, or fucking Artorias the Abyss Walker, who will bully you to death in approximately 30 seconds. This feels like they took a Night 1 boss and a Night Lord and placed both of them at the end of Night 2 and just expects you not to notice. It's like one of those dumb hypotheticals with like 10 rat-sized lions or 1 lion-sized rat, but they forgot to swap them and now you're facing either 1 rat-sized rat or 10 lion-sized lions. But they also decided you don't get to choose, you just gotta hope you roll the rat. Anyways, once you do eventually roll the rat, or roll Artorias so many times that you finally manage to beat him, you get to fight. Dreglord has 2 phases. Phase 1 is a little scary. Big AoE attacks, drags you in, throws rock balls at you, summons goobers to be a bit of a nuisance. At around half health, he'll charge up this weird attack where he sits atop a mountain of rot and then shoots said rot everywhere. Rot over here, rot over there, a little bit of rot everywhere. So much in fact that it just rains down and inflicts you with rot over time, which, unless you've brought boluses from elsewhere, there isn't a whole lot you can do about. At this point you'll probably start panicking a little given how many zombies and fleshy worm faces are running around after you. I mean, the new worm faces are honestly enough to freak you out all by themselves. I mean, look at these freaks. Thank you for that nightmare fuel, FromSoft. Luckily, the Dreglord can kill his own goobers, so it'll naturally get easier as time passes, until you eventually beat Phase 1. Or I guess Phase 2, depending on whether or not you'd consider that one new move in the ad spawning a separate phase. Regardless, the guy isn't dead, he obviously has another health bar. Here, most of his attacks are a bit stronger, like when he tosses the ball of rot at you, it now explodes more. But the main things to look out for here are his new moves. We've got his Temper Tantrum, where he stands around and screams, jumps up the walls, and then slams a ball of rot into the ground so hard that everything in the general vicinity gets blasted to pieces. Then you have, whatever the fuck this is. Reminds me of my cat when he randomly decides to pursue his dream of becoming a race car. He just fucking launches himself at you, like full on zoomies. There are a couple of other new moves, but they don't really stand out in the same way, so therefore these 2 are the most important to mention, at least in my opinion. You can also pull out the Rot Mountain move again once it gets low enough, but this time it doesn't spawn an unholy amount of extra little creatures, so that one's not really that bad anymore. And then, before long, as all other bosses before him, he will fall, never to get back up. Until you decide to fight him again for some godforsaken reason.